Greetings, beautiful earthlings, and welcome back to my kitchen. So it's actually 2 o'clock in the morning, and some of you guys know I've been very crazy busy. I'm working like crazy overtime hours lately, so I haven't had a minute to breathe, let alone do videos. But I got the inspiration to do a video 2 o'clock in the morning, so you get to deal with my crazy mom hair. I have like a treatment in my hair right now, so I'm all wrapped up, so we're just gonna deal with it. You guys already know we're here for the information. We're not here for how cute I can get, right? But today what I wanted to talk about is kind of a follow-up to a very old video that's on my channel. If I can find it, I will pop in a picture here, and I will link it in the description box. And it's a very old video about like the easiest ways to like learn tarot, right? Memorize tarot, whatever it was. And I have since, like you guys know, I've been reading tarot for about 5 years now, 5 or 6 years. 2017, 22, yeah, 5 years, I'd say. And in that time, I have had kind of an on again, off again relationship with tarot, and it wasn't until about this past year that I've really committed to incorporating tarot in my everyday life. And that's very hard to do, especially if you are a busy person, right? You don't even have to be a parent. I'm not even going to pull the parent card on you guys. If you're a busy person, it's hard to incorporate tarot in your everyday life. Just like we all know it's very hard to incorporate witchcraft practices in our everyday life, right? It's so hard to stay connected on a daily basis. Some of those wonderful, amazing witches that like make witchery their profession, and they spend all their time doing witchcraft and rituals and teaching and making books and all of that stuff. That's amazing, but it holds like a really high standard for the rest of us that have a whole lot to do every day and can't find the time to do things like that. So I wanted to share with you guys a couple of ways that I have started utilizing to incorporate tarot in my everyday life, because you guys know I am a single mother. I work a job. I have, you know, all of the social stuff going on, my shop, everything. It's so hard to do anything every day except for wake up and go to sleep. Some days I don't even eat, to be completely honest. Like, it gets hard to do. So I wanted to share with you guys a couple of ways that I have found over the past like year that have kept tarot interesting to me. Because let's be honest, when you're doing tarot and you're memorizing your 78 cards and you're using the Rider-Waite, it gets stale. It really does, and it gets hard to incorporate every day, especially when it's just tarot. You gotta find ways to spice it up, right? So the first one that I'm gonna do is a little bit of a no-brainer. I've had this quite a few times on my channel before because I really love the idea of this, which is a tarot journal. And I know some of you are going to be like, Star, this is just a way for you to plug the Modern Witch tarot journal. No, it's not. Listen, hear me out. Doesn't have to be the Modern Witch tarot journal. I just happen to have it because it was sent to me. I did not spend monies on this, okay? So if you don't have the monies to spend on this, it's okay. You can use a regular notepad. You can use the notepad on your phone. You know, you can use an old composition book from college, right? It doesn't have to be the Modern Witch journal specifically. But what I like about this is that not only does it have places for you to do your readings and keep track of your readings, right? I don't do that, to be completely honest. I don't do that. I do my readings, and that's all that I need to do. Sometimes I film them, like if I feel like it's important for the interpretation, but most times I don't record my tarot readings. I do way too many readings to do that, right? But I like that this has the space for all of the cards for you to write the meanings of, right? They all look like that. So if you guys haven't seen, yes, I have a review of this, a very old review on the channel, but I really love the idea of constantly refreshing your knowledge on the tarot meanings, because let's face it, you can get through one of these and then a year later, you have so much more knowledge on what you've learned in those cards that isn't just the like basic black and white meaning or the basic keywords or the bitty tarot definitions, right? So I really love the idea of doing this over and over. When you finish one, do another one. When you finish that one, do another one. I have so many little notebooks of tarot meanings and whatnot because of that, and I have literally one in my backpack at the moment that I'm doing, because I like, just when I have the free time, just writing out not what I know about the card at the time, but kind of what I am associating with the card at the time, so that I'm kind of keeping it fresh and up to date, and, you know, testing my knowledge of the cards off of memory and not specifically just like looking things up to get the book done, right? Yes, your first one will probably be just looking things up to get it done, to get it written, and that's fine because it's important, it's foundation building. But I think it's also important to keep renewing that information, keep adding to it, because you're going to see how that information transforms over the years. You're not ever going to have the same basic tarot knowledge you did when you started, and you shouldn't, to be honest. You should never stop learning tarot, especially if you're serious about it. It should be something for the long haul. I tell you guys this all the time. It's a lifelong journey. So that one to me is just kind of a no-brainer, and so is the second one, and that is to carry around your favorite tarot book. And my favorite tarot book at the moment, I've told you guys this a million times, True Heart Intuitive Tarot. And the reason that I love this book is because, look, there's my little sable eye. You can see I'm about 116 pages through this one. And the reason that I love this one is because Rachel True takes the extra step to, let me find a page. She takes the extra step to incorporate her association with the card as well. So yes, in the beginning, it's all the basic stuff, your keywords, your meaning, and then right here you'll see there's like little dots, and then it turns into how she relates this card to her life. And I love it so much because it keeps it interesting as a tarot book, whereas something like the 78 Degrees of Wisdom, it feels like a research book to me because it's so cut and dry, just meanings, just keywords, things like that. Most tarot books are, and that's fine. A lot of people just make reference books. But to have something like this where this author takes the extra step to show you how to relate the cards to your daily life, how to relate the archetypes to your life or to people or to situations and things like that, I feel like it is so beneficial. It keeps it interesting, it keeps it fresh, and it helps you really solidify that in your own mind and relate it to your own life in different ways that you might not have otherwise. So if you are not like a bag carrier, right? You're like, how am I supposed to carry the damn book with me? Or how am I supposed to carry this journal with me, right? These things aren't relative to my life. I got you. So what I have been doing as of late, you guys know I be at work all day, every day now, 9-hour days, 5 days a week. So what I did, took my little teeny tiny Rider-Waite. You guys know this is the mini Rider-Waite tarot. There is also a smaller version, which is the tiny tarot. Tiny tarot is a little bit too difficult for me to deal with. I find it more of a novelty. But if you are in a position where you feel like you are not safe to be playing with your tarot cards, things like that, around the people you are around every day, please don't put yourself in jeopardy, right? If you're a closet witch, by all means, be a closet witch. I'm not telling you to like out yourself for the sake of incorporating tarot every day. It's not worth it. But this little guy comes with me to work. It stays in my work bag. I keep it in my little work pouch. And it's nice because I work security now, so I can sit there and shuffle this while I'm watching the cameras. And for a long time, I was kind of indoctrinating the people at my work to being used to me playing with cards. I used to carry playing cards with me, and I would use those to kind of covertly do readings, and it just got to be really irritating because no one genuinely cares. Like, I had a really big like thing in my brain where I was like, everyone's gonna freak out if I'm like playing with cards at work, or whatever. I don't want anybody to like be nervous or be scared or be like freaked out or anything. Nobody cares. Nobody genuinely cares. At the end of the day, we are all there all day, every day. We're all just trying to get through the day. So no one cares what I do with my cards, what cards I bring, right? So after a while of using my playing cards and everybody getting used to me having cards at work, I just decided to bring the little tarot deck. So this stays in my little work. I have like a little work pouch that I have that has like lotion, chapstick, all that stuff. Stays in there. This thing's constantly with me all day, every day. The funny thing is, most people actually play with it. They'll just walk up to it and start shuffling it, or they'll look at the cards and be like, what does this mean? What does this mean? It's really interesting to see how the people at my work have actually responded to it. When I was so nervous about it, it's actually way more welcoming than I actually thought it was going to be. But that's besides the point. This helps me to incorporate this every day. So even on a day when I don't have the time to sit in the morning and do a reading, or at the end of the night and do a reading, I can just get kind of quick messages from my guides while I'm at work in my downtime, right? It makes sense to me because I'm at work all the time. But again, if you are not in a position to do so, please don't. On that note, TikTok also has tarot filters now. If I can remember, I'll pop in a video here of me doing one of my little TikTok tarot card readings, because I do this often when I'm at work as well, because sometimes I don't have the ability to sit there and ask and shuffle, and because when I do that, I get in my routine of asking for clarifiers and sitting there and looking at it, and then I forget there's customers, right? So sometimes when I want to do a specific question, I will literally just pull up a little TikTok filter and just do it, because there's a 3-card filter and like I think it's a 5-card filter or something like that, and it works. It's the same principle as a regular tarot deck. It's whatever's meant to come out will come out, and they do have upright and reverse in the filters, which is amazing. So again, if you cannot carry that deck with you and you're like dying to have a tarot card answer right then and there, you can. There is a tarot card filter for that. And you can always do something like a random number generator if you really want to get into it, right? But what I used to do before I took my tarot deck to work was using the playing cards. And the hard thing about using playing cards, if you know how to read them, right? The hard part to me was that there are no upright and reverse. So what I used to do was I would flip a coin. So I would get the cards, and then I would write them down, and I would flip a coin. I would ask, is this card upright or reverse? Heads, upright, reverse, tails, right? So that's what I would do to get the upright and reverse, to see how the reading played out, and if I wanted a major or something different or a clarifier, I would always ask the TikTok filter. I started getting really creative to do this at work because I'm at work so much, and I just felt like it was taking a lot of my time away from tarot. So that's why I just kind of started getting creative with that. But if you are doing tarot every day, you're doing all of these things, you're using a tarot journal, you're using a tarot book, even drawing out the tarot pictures, right? If you are a really artsy person and you feel like drawing each of the cards is going to help you connect with the card and meditate on the card meanings and things like that, or even using a coloring book, right? The Modern Witch and the Cosmic Slumber both have coloring books. So if you feel like you're the type of person that can meditate through coloring and use that time to meditate on the card meanings themselves, like those, the Modern Witch and the Cosmic Slumber coloring books are really great for that. But if you find that all of these things are just making tarot monotonous for you, it's starting to get boring, right? It's starting to get stale. Excuse me. What I would suggest is getting a tarot deck of a different system of reading, just to kind of give your brain a little break, give your brain a little refresher, because technically you're still incorporating tarot, right? So you guys know I've talked about before how there are different systems of reading, which is the Rider-Waite. You've got like the Lenormand style of cards, or the Gypsy Witch cards, which I've talked about here on my channel before. You've got the Thoth Tarot, right? The Marseille Tarot. Like there's quite a few different systems of reading. And if you don't want to take the time to learn those, I understand. First of all, I still haven't learned the Thoth. But what I would suggest is finding a tarot deck that is adjacent to tarot, like regular Rider-Waite tarot, but different, because it will engage your curiosity and your excitement in a different way. So what I have here is the Dreams of Gaia tarot, and I was so drawn to this tarot deck when I first got it because it's stunning. But the issue here, first of all, I got the mini, so there's no names on any of these cards. That's why you'll see some of these I have written the name there. For like their majors, they actually have names. And then the minors don't. There's like the number and the elemental, right? But I was so drawn to this deck and the idea of this deck, and I really wanted to learn it until I got it, and I realized it's an entirely different system of reading. Entirely different system of reading. Like all the names are different. All the names are different on the majors. All of these cards are different. None of them mean anything in the original Rider-Waite. None of them. So that's what I mean by it is adjacent. It's technically a tarot deck. It's 78 cards. It's still a major and minor system of reading, but it's not. It's not the Rider-Waite Smith. It's not the Thoth. It's not any of those. It's literally its own system of reading. And because I am so drawn to this deck, it doesn't bother me. I still want to use it. I still want to play with it. I still want to read with it. It's so stunning, and like the messages that I get from it are always just so amazing. Like I can't not use it. And I know it might take you a couple years to find a deck like that. I understand that. It took me a couple years to stumble on that one, but it's so worth it, because sometimes I want to read, but like I'll go to pick up a tarot deck, like a Rider-Waite, or even something spicy like the Deviant Moon or something, right? Or the Lightseers, like something. I'll try to get something to get me like excited about tarot, and then I start pulling them and I'm just kind of like, I don't even want to bother interpreting that. And it happens. Like when you're doing this for years, it's very easy for you to get burnt out on it, to get bored of it, to, be like, ugh, like how do I spice this up? And this has really, really helped me substantially, this Dreams of Gaia tarot, because there are some times when I really want to read, but I want something different from my reading. I feel like I want something more from my tarot deck that I'm not getting already from any of my tarot decks. And if you guys have ever gotten a reading from me, I do very extensive tarot readings. So I read for myself the same way, where I pull the overall energy, I pull clarifiers, for those clarifiers. I'll pull extra side messages and clarifiers. Like I use multiple decks in a reading, and sometimes it just doesn't hit the way I want it to. And that's what something like this helps with. Even using this in addition to all the other decks, right? Using this as a clarifier, using this as side messages, or using this on its own just for one card pull, right? It's a game changer. It helped me so substantially, like I can't even tell you guys. But you have to understand it's also a huge commitment to have a deck that does not fall in line with any other system of reading you've learned so far. It's hard because it's a huge commitment. It's a huge undertaking to understand that you're not going to learn this deck right away. Unless you sit there with your nose in that book studying this deck backwards and forwards for the first year you get it, you're not going to learn this deck right away. I gave up on hoping that I would learn that deck, and I have just learned to take it for what it is and use it when I feel called to use it. And I love it. So my second to last tip, kind of in line with that same get a deck that is in line but isn't type of deal, is get an oracle deck if you do not have an oracle deck. Because I know a lot of people that read tarot that don't use oracle decks. They don't feel the need to, they don't feel drawn to, they don't feel like it will add anything to their tarot reading. That's fine. I understand completely, because most times in my readings, especially my paid readings, I do so much clarification that I don't feel like an oracle card can add anything to it. However, sometimes oracle cards can be very helpful for self-reflection, for self-growth, for messages from your guides, things like that. So this deck here is the Wisdom of the House of Night Oracle. It's not something I was super bonded with. It's not something I really vibed with when I first got it. But lately I have been feeling drawn to it. So I've been taking it out, just kind of shuffling it, putting it back. Taking it out, shuffling it, putting it back. And I've kind of started to build a little bit of a bond with it. And in doing so, I've started to get readings with it, which blew my mind. Bottom card is Risk. But it kind of blew my mind because, again, this is a deck that I've had just sitting in a bag in a drawer for months, right? And this is kind of why I don't get rid of decks when I get them. A lot of people ask me why I don't donate my decks that I don't use, and this is why, because sometimes months and months go by, but they'll call to you, and they'll call to you for a reason, whether it be one of your guides wants to use it, or you just need a breath of fresh air, and you don't exactly have an extra $30 or $60 to drop on a deck that you really want, right? Sometimes you gotta revisit the decks that you haven't touched in a while, and there's a reason that you still have them, and there's a reason that they're still sitting in the drawer, and it's because you need them for this moment, right? So I've actually been really vibing with this one, and again, this is just kind of a way to break up the monotony of doing so much with tarot every day. I understand this is not tarot, this is oracle. It can be any oracle deck, right? Any oracle deck. You guys know there are so many, it's not even funny. But it's just another way to keep using cards, to keep with your ritual, to keep with incorporating card reading and divination, staying connected on a daily basis. Sometimes, again, you just need a breath of fresh air. And the last tip that I have, I feel like I haven't breathed in 10 minutes. The last tip that I have is to get a deck that you really, really, really love and treat it very, very, very special from the other ones. If you guys are like me and you have buttloads of tarot decks, right? You guys saw in one of my Cozy Corner videos, I had a Centennial that I put in a wooden box. And none of my decks are in boxes. They're all in bags, they're all in the drawer, they're all in the same setup, right? But I had this one and I was like, I need to make one sacred that's just for me. And that's what I did. And I put one in a little velvet lined red velvet lined box, right? Wooden box, very special box. And I even wrapped it in pink velvet inside of that box. I put some herbs in there. I put a big selenite palm. Like, I treat it very special, and I only bring it out for special reasons. But aside from that, kind of on the same note, I have another deck that I took out that I put on my desk with a stick of selenite. Initially, the reason that I did this was because it was the plastic deck and it got kind of warped in the drawer because I had it like standing, and because it's plastic cards, it warped it. So I put it on my desk with a big rock on it, right? Big crystal, like the biggest crystal that I had, to flatten it out. It never got flattened out. I kept flipping it. I kept adding more crystals to it. I kept putting it under books. It never flattened out. Anyways, the reason that I'm saying that is because this deck kind of has special treatment. None of my decks sit on my desk, ever. I don't keep decks out because I have a tiny human. She likes playing with cards. So I have to keep them all in bags in the drawer, safe, away from the tiny human who likes to crumple cards. And the fact that these are plastic, I don't feel so bad about leaving them out, especially in the sun, in the air, right? I don't feel like they're gonna get messed up. If I spill water on them, it's okay, they're plastic. If my tiny human gets a hold of them, it's okay, they're plastic, right? I don't feel so very nervous about keeping them out. And having them out with a big stick of selenite on them in the windowsill means it's more charged than any of my decks because it constantly gets energy, like energy flow from me being around it. It has the energy of the plants that are on my desk. It has the energy of all of the crystals that are on my desk. It gets the constant sunlight. And because it's on my desk, I play with it more, because sometimes I'll just be sitting there and I'll see it and I'll start shuffling it and I'll play with it. And that causes me to sometimes, first thing in the morning or at the end of the night, pull some cards because it's there. I feel like having my cards put away makes me less likely to pull them out on a daily basis, because I have to actually sit there and decide which deck I'm getting and pull it out and warm it up and maybe cleanse it, right? And it starts to feel like a chore. So having a deck that I'm not so very worried about just sitting on my desk all the time is very helpful. And I know some people just have their cards out, right? Not everyone is like me, where they have a tiny human or they have pets where they have to keep everything put away. Some people are very lucky and they can just have all of their cards sitting on their desk, and that works for you guys. And I wish so much that I could do that. You have no idea, but that's what works for me, at least. So I wanted to share these with you guys because I know it gets really hard. It gets really hard to do tarot every single day. And that's kind of why I wanted to be on TikTok, is because it kind of forces me to do more with tarot. Also, I do things on TikTok that aren't tarot related, right? Clearly. But I do notice myself giving more readings because it's easier to do a 3-minute reading on TikTok when I don't care what I look like, just pulling random cards, right? As opposed to sitting in front of a YouTube video, trying to get it all set up, making sure I look cute, making sure, we have a whole blah, 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 right? It's just easier to do card readings on TikTok. It's just easier to do flip throughs on TikTok. It's just easier to answer tarot questions on TikTok, things like that. So it's made me start to think about how my relationship with tarot has kind of transformed over the past couple of years, to where I'm actively trying to incorporate it in my everyday life now, especially now that I'm so busy and it's so hard. I was very lucky for the first couple of years my daughter was born. I didn't have to have a job. I couldn't get a job because of COVID, right? I was very lucky. I could just do tarot stuff all the time. And now it's become a pressing issue, and I don't want to lose my connection, right? Because it feels that way. Like, you never lose your connection, you never lose your knowledge, right? But it feels that way if you're not doing it on a regular basis. So I wanted to share a couple of ways with you guys that I incorporate tarot on a daily basis. These are just the easiest ways that I've found. And again, if you haven't seen that old video I did of the easiest ways to learn tarot, whatever it was called, right, definitely check that out, because I still really love that video. I still agree with the things that I said in there. I still think that one is a gem. And I really, really hope that if any of you guys have any other ways that I don't have included here, that you would put them in the comments for your fellow tarot readers, because I am always looking for new and exciting ways to keep tarot interesting in my life as well. But, comments, you guys read comments more than I do, so I just I check comments and then I forget about them. So I think it'll help your fellow brethren, sisterin in the comments if you guys help each other out with other ways, because doing things like putting them on my wall or writing on mirrors and stuff is not so effective for me anymore. That's how I used to learn when I was younger. I would just write things all over the wall or all over the mirrors and stuff like that, and it was easy, but it doesn't work for me anymore. I just kind of ignore whatever's on the wall now. So I need ways to keep things interesting, and I really hope you guys can help me out with a couple of those. That'd be really super appreciated. But if you made it to the end of this video, I appreciate you so very much, and please leave me a like. That helps me out so much, and it lets me know that you actually made it to the end of the video. And I really hope that you guys go check out my link tree in the description box. You already know all of my socials are in there, my Etsy shop, my everything is in that link tree, so go check it out. And thank you so much for joining me. I'm so grateful. I know my videos are just, getting wilder and messier, and this is my era, this is my year. It's just a wild, messy year, and we're gonna keep going with it and just hope one day it gets better, because I'm sure it will. It's just crazy. I'm glad you're still here. I'm glad you guys are still here with me. And I'm so super grateful for all of you guys, and I cannot say thank you enough. But until then, I can't wait to see you guys in the next one. Later.